down. Come on, party over.
Mad?
What you mean why I'm mad? Get the inside, man. Get over. Party over, man. Nut ass, man. Come on, man. Party over, man.
In love and hip-hop, Joseline Hernandez, a name that has come to stand for drama, boldness, and audacity, just shared a shocking and very personal narrative that no one could have foreseen for years. Joseline appeared to be one of the most bold and opinionated people on reality TV. But behind the glamorous photos and public appearances, she was experiencing a nightmare that had avoided the spotlight during an emotional interview. Joseline courageously disclosed for the first time the mistreatment she endured at the hands of her fiancé, music producer Ballistic. What at first glance appeared to be the perfect romance quickly spiraled out of control and involved both emotional and physical violence. This made clear what was actually going on in their relationship behind the scenes. The connection between Joseline and Ballistic, who were presented as a couple in love that went to events together, exchanged photos of their lives, and flaunted their love for one another, had long been known to fans. This image was far from true, though, as Joseline soon makes clear. What seemed to be the perfect romance was actually the setting for a considerably more nuanced and sinister reality.
Man, come on, man. What you talking about? Let's go. What's wrong with you, man? Come here. Yo, stop. Yo, you think this a game, man? I'm not playing with her, man. Stupid ass, dumbass woman.
Joseline recalls that, like many abusive relationships, the abuse started off quietly and nearly undetectable. It began with small disagreements that soon spiraled out of control, and times when she lost her temper over trivial matters. She initially attributed these outbursts to stress or misunderstandings.
What's wrong with you feeding somebody fruit? And then you telling the young boy, oh, don't tell nobody about what we did today, man. All this, man. Man.
Are you serious?
Yeah, you a nut, man. You not an example. You a nut.
What's
You
wrong?
a nut ass broad. That's what the you are.
Are you kidding me?
Man, you disrespect me. I told you, treat me like a king.
What?
You don't disrespect.
Ultimately, she'd attempted to brush it off as a fleeting issue because she has seen her share of drama and scandal on reality TV. But as emotional abuse grew commonplace in their relationship, it soon became clear that something darker was going on. Ballistic would continually attack her and use harsh language and slurs to denigrate her. He would lose his anger over insignificant things, and Joseline was subjected to verbal abuse that left her feeling insecure and undeserving. She explains how she started to have doubts. She began to question her worth and even hold herself responsible for the arguments, as is common among victims of emotional abuse. She also began to feel lonely and lose her sense of self, but these were not the only consequences of emotional abuse. The situation was finally made worse by a physical attack. Joseline describes a particularly horrifying experience where Ballistic physically assaulted her. It's challenging to explain the attack's details, but Joseline is clear about how it made her feel imprisoned, afraid, and broken. According to her, the man I loved and trusted was no longer who I thought he was. Rather, he was a stranger who may hurt me because of Joseline. The physical torture was the decisive factor in the aftermath of the attack. Because she was a public figure, she felt a lot of shame and was worried about how people would respond if they found out. Joseline was terrified of being judged, rejected, and losing everything she had worked so hard to acquire. Even though she knew that her confession could damage her reputation, she nevertheless made the courageous decision to speak out about her abuse. Joseline, like many victims of domestic abuse, battled emotions of guilt and humiliation and questioned whether she was. In addition to being brave for herself, her choice to come out was brave for anyone who might be caught in an abusive relationship. Speaking directly to those who could be in relationships like hers, Joseline emphasized in the interview the significance of identifying the warning signs of abuse and getting help, encouraging them to leave and seek support. She said that you are deserving of love and respect that no one should ever give you, so you don't have to endure this in quiet. You feel hurt or unimportant. Given the prevalence of appearance and perception over reality in the realm of celebrity culture, Joseline's courage has spurred a broader discussion regarding emotional and physical abuse in relationships. Her experience serves as a heartbreaking reminder that anyone, regardless of money or notoriety, can become a victim of domestic violence, and that abuse can leave serious wounds. Joseline is still committed to her recovery, making the required changes to her life and regaining her identity as she proceeds on her path of recovery, because she feels that her experience can inspire others to leave their own violent situations and get the support they require. She remains committed to using her platform to raise awareness about domestic abuse. Despite its suffering, Joseline's story serves as motivation and an example of how honesty makes. Joseline serves as a voice for survivors, reminding everyone that abuse of any type should never be tolerated, and everyone has the right to live without fear or pain. Joseline Hernandez, whose name has come to symbolize drama, confidence, and audacity in hip-hop and love, recently revealed a shocking and extremely personal narrative that no one could have foreseen for years. Under the glamorous photos and public appearances, Joseline was experiencing a nightmare that had previously been kept a secret, despite being one of the most bold and opinionated people on reality TV. During a tearful conversation, Joseline courageously started discussing the Ballistic Beats, a music producer, and her fiancé mistreated her. What at first glance seemed to be the perfect romance quickly spiraled out of control and led to emotional and physical abuse. Joseline shared for the first time the true behind-the-scenes events of her horrific experiences. Her and Ballistic have always been viewed by fans as a couple in love, going to events together, posting photos of themselves together, and showing their affection for one another. Their social media accounts told a tale of joy and contentment, yet Joseline swiftly reveals that this image was untrue. What seemed to be the perfect relationship was actually the setting for a darker and more nuanced reality. Like many abusive relationships, Joseline recalls how the violence started out almost imperceptibly, with minor disputes that soon got out of hand, and times when she lost her temper over unimportant things. She initially attempted to dismiss it as a fleeting issue, thinking it would only last a short while. This appeared to be just another challenge they would need to conquer, as she had witnessed her share of drama and scandal on reality TV. May end up getting back together, but it soon became clear that something more sinister was at play because emotional abuse started to happen frequently in their relationship. Joseline describes how she felt inadequate and unworthy as a result of verbal abuse. Like many victims of emotional abuse, she describes how she started to doubt herself, question her value, and even blame herself for the disputes. Ballistic's temper would flare at insignificant things, and he would constantly criticize her and use harsh language. Negative effects of emotional abuse, the situation was finally made worse by a physical attack. Joseline describes a particularly terrifying experience where Ballistic physically assaulted her. Joseline describes the impact of the attack, even though she can't remember it. "The man I loved and trusted was no longer who I thought he was," she said. "He was a stranger who could hurt me. I no longer knew who I was, and I felt confined, terrified, and crushed."